Welcome to Takshashila Gurukul channel. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe immediately, press the bell button and write your comments and feedback. Share with your friends as much as possible. We provide online Kundalini Raja Yoga initiation and Kundali activation in 6 months.
Hinduism's darshans is the time of the Vedas past, the era of Smriti emerged. Later, the era of the Agamas, the era of history and Puranas, arrived. After the era of the Agamas, the era of darshan began. What was heard in Shruti was remembered through Smriti. Through the Agamas, they were received from one to another in an unbroken and uninterrupted manner. The Hindus, having heard many ideas about the world, life, the supreme soul, birth, life, and death, began to examine the details of the answers received through tradition through their own intellect and self-criticism. There was a demand for correct understanding to be obtained in a measured manner, and a family of people who examined the idea of the Pindanda and the universes, life, worlds, themselves with the power of intellect and wisdom began. It was then that darshan arose. Darshan means a tool that enables seeing the happiness and sorrow experienced by the beings of the world. The solution to many profound issues like birth and death was found through these darshans. It was possible to specifically determine what the causes of all these were. Thus, the causes found through the power of the intellect are known as params. Param means that which causes prame. Pram means correct understanding. That which causes correct understanding is param. The one who uses params is called the Kartru, the creator. The subject to be investigated is called Prame, the premise. Correct understanding is called Pramiti. All darshans are accompanied by their own standards. Based on them, the respective darshankas have clarified their respective theories about the soul, the world, etc. The conventional saying is that there are 10 types of standards. Some say that there are 12 types of standards and some say that there are 8 types. Generally, 8 types of standards are in use, of which 6 types are significant and 4 types of standards are the most famous. The 10 types of standards are 1. Pratiksha, 2. Anuman, 3. Upama, 4. Shabda, Agama, 5. Arthapatti, 6. Anupalabdha, 7. Sambhavna, 8. Etihya, 9. Lipi, 1. Lok Prasiddhi. Different philosophical acharyas of Hinduism do not rely on all these standards to clarify their respective views. The Charvakas believe in Pratyaksha Pramana if they accepted only one, the Buddhists accepted only 2 categories, namely Pratyaksha and Anuman, while the Jains accepted only 3 categories, namely Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. The Nyayadarshanas accepted 4 categories, namely Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upama, and Shabda. The Vaiseshikas accepted only 2 categories, namely Pratyaksha and Anuman, and said that Pratyaksha includes Upama and Shabda includes Upama. The Samkhya and Yogadarshanas accepted only 3 categories, namely Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda, and said that all the other categories fall within the scope of these 3. The Purvamimamsevanas accepted 6 categories, namely Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upama, Shabda, Arthapatti, and Anupalabdha. Among them, the Prabhakara Mimsakas did not accept Anupalabi as a category, but accepted only the remaining 5 categories as a category. Among the Uttarami Mimsadas, the Aditapanda accepted 6 categories, namely Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upama, Shabda, Ardhapatti, and Anupalabdha. The Vishishtadvatapantha have accepted only 3 as the criteria, Pratyaksha, Ananuma, and Shabda. Similarly, the Datapantha have also considered only the criteria, Pratyaksha, Ananuma, Upama and Shabda. Overall, the 4 criteria, Pratyaksha, Ananuma, Upama and Shabda are very important. Since all the other criteria are secondary to these four and belong to these four groups in one way or another, not all the seers have explicitly taken these 10 criteria into account. The four important criteria are thus detailed. Pratyaksha Pramana, the true, Samyag Aparokshanubhava Pratyaksham, is the Aparoksha experience that is the actual one. Whatever can be experienced directly through our senses becomes the actual criterion. There is also another way of dividing the actual criterion into two, Yogi Pratyaksha and Ayogi Pratyaksha. Yogi Pratyaksha means that yogis, through the power of yoga, these are the philosophical ideas perceived through the divine eye in the innermost being. Based on them, the explanations given by yogis as the secrets of creation cannot be seen as truth by non-yogis. Unobserved facts are those that non-yogis find through their five external senses, namely the eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. Doubt. Avinabhavena samyak parokshanubhavonumanam. Doubt is the conclusion reached by seeing a thing or objects directly known through the senses and using it to infer other things or ideas related to it. If smoke is rising from a distant mountain and based on that smoke, one finds it and says that there must be a fire there. This doubt-based knowledge is called anumati. Doubt is the result of an unobserved result, and the result is the true experience of another related idea that is not apparent with the help of an apparent result. Anu equals then, mana, understanding. Upamana Pramana. Upamana Pramana is the ability to easily and independently understand the details of a new subject based on the analogy of previous experience without being familiar with the material and ideas related to that subject. For example, a person has seen a cow, but has not seen a wild animal called a gavaya. When someone who has experienced walking in the forest and seeing a gavaya animal asks him what the gavaya is like, he can tell him that it is like a cow. On occasion, when a person who has not seen this gavaya from the village goes to the forest and sees the gavaya, he compares its features with what the person who has experienced walking in the forest told him before and understands that it must be the same gavaya animal. This understanding of his is achieved through upamana. Thus, upamana pramana is the ability to understand an object from the example of other objects that are similar to it. Those who say that there are mainly three types of examples and that the simile is contained in the first three, and who accept only three types of examples, there are two types of differences of opinion among the seers, those who consider the upamana pramana as a different standard. Shabda Pramana, Agama Pramana, Shabda Vijnanat Samyak Sanikrishtartha Anubhava Agama. The correct experience of a thing through the knowledge of the word is called Shabda Pramana, Agama Pramana. Agama means that which has come, that which has come. The knowledge of the word that comes through the scriptures, through the words of close people, through the teachings of great souls and saints is the knowledge of the past. The idea that is confirmed on the basis of such knowledge is called the word of the word. Therefore, this word of the word is called the word of the word. Who are the close ones? Yadharthadarshi yatha drishtardhavadi cha apta. Those who see what is as it is and those who say what they have seen as they have seen are the close ones. The Vedas, Upanishads, Dharma Shastras, Smriti Agamas are all Agama Pramanas. There is also a division of the Agama Pramanas into two, namely Aparushaya and Paurusheya. Aparushaya means that which is not attained by human effort. The Vedas are Aparushaya Pramanas, the words of saints and Aptavachas are man-made, Paurusheya Pramanas. Thus, based on the evidence, many kinds of opinions and theories emerged on the subject of the Supreme Being. After the Vedic period, people began to practice all the Vedas and sacrifices with the feeling that they were rituals, constraints, and superstition increased. Superstition became excessive, religion decreased, and unrighteousness increased in life. As a result, the Vedic views, i.e., the ideas of soul and God, which were presented in the Vedas, were condemned, and criticism and the path of wisdom began to be followed in people's lives. Finally, this argument grew and differences arose, and the Charvaka, Jain, and Buddhist religions arose. Of these, the Charvaka religion is the most ancient, while the Buddhist Jain religions are contemporary. The influence of these religions on people's lives was considerable. As a result, the ideas of life, soul, creation, God, etc., which were presented in the Vedas, were considered to be just fictions and imaginary things. The self-centered attitude of being God and master of themselves began to grow. Although Buddhism and Jainism did not accept the Vedas and Upanishads as a basis, they did not teach any bad or immoral ideas about the conditions of life. But in the masses, there were two groups, those who believed in the Vedas and Upanishads and those who did not. All those who believed in the Vedas were called theists and Vedicists, while those who did not believe in them were called atheists and non-Vedics. As the atheistic trend grew and atheism increased in public life, theists became vigilant and, with the power of their intellect, strengthened the ideology of the Vedas and Upanishads through direct and objective evidence. Finally, the argument of the theists grew to the point that all atheistic views were baseless and false, and the power of atheism was weakened by making a valid claim. Thus, there were 9 philosophies in total, of which, as mentioned earlier, there were 3 atheistic views and 6 theistic views. Atheism cannot be said to be a complete non-believer. Those who do not believe in the Vedas as evidence are called atheists. Those who believe in the Vedas as evidence become theists. The term atheist is generally used in 3 meanings. They are: 1. Those who do not believe in God. 2. Those who do not accept the Vedas as evidence. 3. Those who do not accept the afterlife, life, and reincarnation. Those who hold views contrary to these are theists. Atheist darshans are those that do not accept the Vedas as a standard, and accordingly it is reasonable to call the Charvaka, Buddhist and Jain darshans as non-Vedic darshans and the Shaddarshans like Samkhya, Nyaya etc. as Vedic darshans. The power of intellect is used in the darshans and the ideas are presented logically. If all the darshans are examined properly, it becomes clear that the darshans from Hava to Vedanta darshans see the same truth, and the difference between them is only between the truth seen and the theory experienced. When we think deeply, it becomes clear that the search for truth that began in Charvaka has reached its full perfection in Vedanta darshan. Non-Vedic darshans: 1. Charvaka, 2. Buddhist, 3. Jain. Vedic schools of thought: 1. Nyaya, 2. Vaisheshika, 3. Samkhya, 4. Yoga, 5. Mimsa, Pre-Mimsa, 6. Vedanta, Uttaramimamsa. Charvaka darshan. Although most scholars believe that the Charvaka Maharshis were the ones who propounded this school of thought, there is also an opinion that they did not establish it at all, but that Brihaspati Acharya established it. The original texts of Charvaka sect are not available today. Therefore, it is not possible to name the founder of this sect with certainty. It is also said that the word Charvaka was born due to the principles of the school of thought and that name became its foundation. The meaning of the word Charvaka is Chaswa equals eat, devour, and Charvaka means one who eats and devours and lives in bliss. There is another way to interpret this word, and it is understood as follows. Charu equals delicious, delicious, Vaka equals speech. The doctrines of Charvaka are full of very delicious words. Therefore, that doctrine is called Charvaka. The characteristic of Charvaka philosophy is that it accepts only one pratyaksha pramana. Charvakas are said to be materialists. Another name for this group is Lokaitas. The truth is what is directly experienced through the 5 senses. The basic principle of Charvaka philosophy is to say that all doubts and agam pramanas are not true, and sometimes they lead us astray. When we say in business that I am weak, I am strong, it is clear that we are associated with the body. The soul is different from the body, the soul is immortal, and the body is perishable. The Chardaka philosophy argues that it is not legitimate to say that human life ends with death. Reincarnation is a half-empty imaginary concept. God does not exist, God is not visible to the 5 senses, so he is not present. Therefore, The existence of God is just an illusion. Thus, performing worship, meditation, and sacrifices to live after death and to obtain God's blessings and grace is just foolishness. The ultimate goal of life is to attain happiness and to experience the greatest possible amount of happiness during the period of life. One should not stop enjoying happiness even when there is difficulty or when it becomes difficult. It is just as unwise to stop growing crops because cattle will come and destroy the crops, and it is equally unwise to not experience happiness because it becomes difficult. One should live life by getting as much happiness as possible in this life and avoiding difficulties, without believing in reincarnation, God, religion, etc. Meaning and desires are the only true purusharthas of life. This is the essence of Charvakam. A famous philosophical phrase that expresses the essence of Charvakam is as follows: Yavajivet sukham jivet rinam krtva drutam pibet. Bhabutasya dahasya punaragamanam kuta. One should live happily as long as one lives. Even if one has incurred debt, one should drink ghee and enjoy it. Will the body that has become ashes be reborn? Sayana Madhava Pranit Sarva Darshan Sangraha. Although these principles of Charvakamata were found to be very pleasant to listen to, people came to realize that they were full of foolishness and untruths if they were examined properly. Very soon, Buddhist and Jain philosophies arose and pointed out the errors and injustices in the principles of Charvakamata, and as a result, the power of Charvakamata was greatly reduced, but many types of superstitions. Charvakamata encouraged a society that was subject to blind faith to express its views through independent thinking and logical reasoning. Because all the philosophies that arose later condemned the views of Charvakamata and clarified their own theories only after that. Therefore, although the principles of Charvakam certainly do not contain the full truth or benefit, the people of the time of the visions were inspired to try to find the true nature of truth through their thinking. Buddhist philosophy, Buddhism. Lord Buddha is the pioneer of Buddhist philosophy. The principles propounded in Buddhist philosophy are called Buddhism. Here, the word dharma includes the meanings of religion, doctrine, and vision. Bodhi means understanding, Buddha means one who has attained understanding. Buddhism means the religion of understanding, which is also called the religion of understanding. Buddha is called the Tathagata, and the religion he taught is also called the Tathagata Dharma. Tathagata means one who has come on the path walked by the predecessors. Tatha means truth, Jata means one who has gone. The one who went towards truth is the Buddha, and the religion he taught is also called the Tathagata Dharma. The time of Buddha was 3000 BC. It is said to be the 6th century BC. Lord Buddha was a contemporary of Lord Mahavira, the patron saint of Jainism. Buddhism, which was advocated and propagated on the basis of truth, righteousness, peace and kindness, has its own principles and doctrines. Among the 10 famous incarnations of God mentioned in the scriptures of Hinduism, Buddha is also considered an incarnation. Accordingly, Hindus have called Buddha an incarnation and have declared their respect and veneration. A prince named Siddhartha of the Shakya dynasty in Kapilavastu renounced his pleasures and pleasures, accepted sannyasa, performed penance and attained bodhi and became Lord Buddha. The religion taught by Buddha became Buddhism. The vision of truth that Buddha saw came to be known as Buddhist philosophy. The Buddha taught his teachings in Pali, the common language of the time. Therefore, the original scriptures of Buddhism are in Pali and are called Tripitaka. Tripitaka means 3 baskets, and the Tripitaka is the basic scriptures of Buddhist philosophy. They are divided into 3 categories, namely, 1. Sutrapitaka, principles, expositions and arguments taught for the benefit of householders and monks. 2. Vinaypitaka, rules for monks to explain their duties. 3. Abhidharmapitak, philosophy and secret ideas of Buddhism. The essence of the teachings in this book is a book called Dharmapada. Dharmapada is the Bhagavad Gita of the Buddhists, in which the divine teachings of the Buddha are presented in a very simple and effective way. Buddhist philosophy and practical ideas. The main philosophical ideas of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha has called the four fundamental truths that are always experienced and true in life as the Noble Truths. The path that is given to free life from their bondage and attain the peace of nirvana as the Noble Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths. First Noble Truth: life is suffering. Because life is full of birth, death, and suffering and loss. This is called the Dukkha Noble Truth. Second Noble Truth: Krishna, desire, is the cause of these sufferings of life. There are three types of craving: craving for pleasure, craving for existence, and craving for future existence. The existence of craving, which is the cause of suffering, is the second noble truth and is called the Dukkha Samudaya. Third noble truth: suffering should be stopped. Life should not remain an experience of suffering for the living, but one should strive for salvation. Suffering should be prevented in life. Thus, prevention is the third noble truth. This is called the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. Fourth noble truth: the cessation of suffering or its cessation is necessary, so what is the path to it? The Buddha examined this and found the path and taught it. Thus, there is a path to the cessation of suffering. This fourth noble truth is called Noble Truth of the Cessation of Suffering, the path to the cessation of suffering. The idea of the order of life. As a result of ignorance, good and bad deeds are performed by life. As a result, sanskaras are born. Births and rebirths change due to the force of sanskaras. The next birth is obtained from the previous birth. After obtaining birth, knowledge, name and form, physical appearance, tactile experience, and pain are experienced. From these the trade of the body begins. The pains experienced in life are of three types. These are 1. Pleasant pain, 2. Unpleasant pain, 3. Pain without pleasure or pain. As a result of experiencing pains, there arises a strong desire to enjoy life and to enjoy life. With this desire, while living life, new sanskaras are born, which become the sanskaras that lead to the next birth. Rebirth gives rise to birth and death, which cause the living being to be trapped in the cycle of birth and death. All these causes are collectively called Nidana, and they are 12 in number. These Nidana are called the 12 Nidana. What are they? 1. Ignorance, the lack of understanding that there is no permanent object from which to experience pleasure and pain. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge about the living worlds. 2. Sanskaras, the accumulation of past feelings, mind, body, speech, and sinful actions. 3. Vijnana, knowledge is unique knowledge. 4. Nama Rupa, mind and body. 5. Shriyatana, 5 senses and mind. 6. Senses of knowledge. 6. Sparsha, the sense organs touch their objects. 7. Vedana, the various experiences that arise from touch are called pain. 8. Trisna, desire, the desire to experience sensual pleasures again and again. 9. Upadana, interest in life, meaning the intense desire to live and fulfill one's thirst in life and the attachment to life. 10. Bhava, the interest in being, to take birth, to be in life is bhava. 11. Birth or caste rebirth. 12. Jaramaran, old age, death, sorrow, all these are considered Jaramaran. All the trades in this world are impermanent and nothing is permanent. But to make them believe that they are essential and to prevent one from knowing the true basis of truth is ignorance. Due to ignorance, intense interest in worldliness arises and from it karma. Karma. In Buddhism, it is clearly stated that the respective fruits will come according to one's karma. If good deeds bring good results, then just as the shadow body follows the body, bad deeds bring bad results. All the transactions that take place in this world and other worlds, in the Brahma worlds, are causal. There is a correct law for them. There are always variations in the various transactions of the world. But there is a causal relationship between one and another, and everything happens according to a law. This lawfulness is called pratitya samutpada. This principle of pratitya samutpada also applies to the theory of karma. The Buddha taught that all karma has a cause and that one should experience its fruits. The root cause of this karmic bondage is ignorance, and when ignorance is destroyed and knowledge is gained, the Buddhist philosophy says that one is ready to be liberated from the bondage of the cycle of existence. Non-self. Although karmas are performed in life, there is no eternal doer who performs them without being affected by their effects and vices. The idea that there is or is not an eternal object that enjoys the fruits of karma is called non-self. Life is a product of the offspring of the transactions that take place in the body. Due to ignorance. Due to this wave of offspring, a person is endowed with the feeling that I am, mine, this is my soul. If we examine this, I, properly, who is it? Why? These appear to be the accumulation of the false aggregates. The 5 aggregates are 1. Rupaskandha, related to the physical elements of the body. 2. Vedanaskandha, related to emotions. 3. Sanjnaskandha, related to the power of perception. 4. Sanskaraskandha, related to the effects of birth and death, passion, hatred, anger, pride, etc. 5. Vignaskandha, related to the power of thought and decision making. The association of these 5 skandhas is called pula. Pula means that the object of the appearance of I am I is the object. This is the basic principle of Anatmavada. When the truth consciousness that there is no permanent object called I is realized, then liberation from the bondage of karma is achieved and the peace of nirvana is attained. Everything is impermanent and transient is the first principle. But everything is anatma is the second principle. Nirvana is peace, which is the third principle. These 3 principles are the main principles of Buddhism. The path of practice that encompasses the destruction of ignorance, the gain of consciousness, and the peace of nirvana is the Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Paths, there are a total of 8 types of these, which are called the middle path. The path of practice that is neither too easy nor too difficult is the middle path. Right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right exercise, right mindfulness, right concentration are the Noble Eightfold Paths. Let us now discuss them in some detail. 1. Right view, right knowledge of the 4 noble truths, namely, suffering, the origin of suffering, the stopping of suffering, and the path. 2. Right resolution. If the knowledge that exists is not put into action properly, it cannot yield results. Action must have the right resolution. The right resolve is to abandon the worldly pleasures, passions, hatred, greed, etc., and to attain the peace of wisdom or nirvana. The resolution of non-action, resolution of non-deception, and resolution of non-violence are considered right resolves. 3. Right speech. The speech should be full of essence and truth. Speech should not cause pain to the minds of others. Untruthful speech and gossip can cause injustice and chaos. Thus, speaking truthfully, wholesomely, and moderately is right speech while maintaining the truthfulness of speech. 4. Right action. These 5 ideas of not killing, not stealing, not being materialistic, not lying, not consuming intoxicants are the 5 virtues. Following these 5 virtues, always doing good deeds and not doing bad deeds is right action. 3. Right life. Right life is living a good life without taking up a lowly profession under any circumstances, without living contrary to right action, and without harming oneself or society. Not selling meat and meat products, not dealing in tricks, not relying on the profession of a butcher who slaughters animals, etc. These are right life. 6. Right exercise. Constant vigilance, divine meditation, and settling the mind in good thoughts are called exercise, and this is called right exercise. The 4 types of exercise that prevent bad thoughts from arising in the mind, and if they arise, they are destroyed. so that only good thoughts constantly flow into the mind, and so that good thoughts that have flowed into the mind become established and grow are called right exercise. 7. Right remembrance. Right remembrance is the abandonment of evil thoughts and regrets about images. Right remembrance is obtained through divine meditation. The awareness of images is the meaning of right remembrance. 8. Right concentration. This is the last stage in the Noble Eightfold Path. The aspirant, having followed the 7 stages correctly through sadhana, attains the attainment of nirvana at this stage. Right concentration is the meaning of life, free from the cycle of existence and attaining eternal bliss. Samadhi is the limitless abode of divine bliss. This bliss itself is called the peace of nirvana, the happiness of nirvana. The attainment of the divine bliss of Samyak Samadhi occurs in 4 stages. Similarly, the attainment of nirvana has 4 stages, namely, first meditation, second meditation, third meditation, and fourth meditation, and their characteristics have been explained in detail in Buddhist philosophy. The 4 stages of the Arya Ashtangika path are 1. Smitapanna, 2. Saridagami, 3. Anagami, 4. Ahat, Arant. When the Ahat stage is attained, the peace of nirvana is attained by becoming fully accomplished. There, the bondage of attachment is dissolved, the oil called Krishna is exhausted, and the lamp called Kalmabandhana is extinguished. This is the peace of nirvana, the bliss of nirvana. There is no greater suffering than hunger. There is no greater sorrow than having a body. There is no greater happiness than nirvana. It is said in the Dharmapada, verse 203. There are 2 types of nirvana, which are Upadhishesha nirvana and Anupadhishesha nirvana. The nirvana that a seeker experiences after attaining the meritorious state during his lifetime is called Upadhishesha nirvana. The nirvana that a seeker experiences after leaving the body and remains permanent is called Anupadhishesha nirvana. It is also called paranirvana. In Buddhism, there are rules and regulations that are convenient for householders and monks to follow. Householders who practice Buddhist principles are called upasaka, upasika, housewife. Buddhist monks are called bhikshu, acharya, and thera. As time passed, Buddhist scholars found and elucidated unique, subtle, and scholarly principles in the teachings of the Buddha. Accordingly, different traditions arose in Buddhism. They are mainly considered to be 4 traditions, which are as follows. 1. Vaibhasika tradition, 2. Sautantric tradition, 3. Yogachara tradition, 4. Madhyamaka tradition. Although the Buddha did not recognize the sacred texts of the Vedas and Upanishads, his doctrines and philosophies are largely based on the principles of Sanatan Hinduism. As Buddhism became especially popular in our country and abroad, 2 main divisions emerged and shone forth in its different sects regarding its doctrine, namely Hinayana and Mahayana. The practice of virtues such as truth, compassion, love, prayer, worship, devotion, belief in the principle of karma, reincarnation, different worlds, study of Buddhist scriptures, service to living beings, all these are included in Buddhism, and thus Buddhism is composed of its own principles, practices, and implementation ideas. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are the 3 jewels of the sacred attainment of Buddhism. The one who found the Dharma became Bodhibhayutka, the Lord, the Ahat, and the true Buddha, and brought the Buddhahood and seniority to the Buddha as Dharma. Those who practice Buddhism are Aryans. The community of Aryans is the Sangha. These 3 are very closely related to each other and are important, sacred, and auspicious. The remembrance and salutations of these 3 gems are the daily prayers of Buddhists. What is the sacred prayer of the 3 gems? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhanna buddham sharanam gacchami dhammam sharanam gachavim sangam sharanam gacchami. Salutations to the Lord, the Arhat, and the rightly enlightened one. I surrender to the Buddha. I surrender to the Dharma. I surrender to the Sangha. Jainism is a word derived from the word Jina, which literally means one who has won. Those who have broken the bonds of karma, transcended samsara, and attained liberation are called Jinas. The religion of the Jinas is Jainism, and the religion preached by the Jinas is Jainism. Those who believe in this religion, which is based on the teachings of the Jinas, are Jains. Jainism has been propagated in the world since ancient times through the tradition of Tirthankaras. Tirthankaras are the preachers of Jainism, the promoters of scriptures, who illuminate the light of Dharma in the world, and pave the way for crossing the ocean of samsara. There is another explanation about Tirthankaras, that they are called Tirthankaras because they have felt 16 noble feelings that are pure in their vision in the afterlife, and have performed a unique meritorious act called Tirthankara, and before going to liberation, they have destroyed the 4 harmful karmas through these 5 meritorious acts of Garbhavataran, Janmabhishek, Pariniman, Kevalgyan and Paranirvana, and have become omniscient in their state of liberation, and have preached the path to salvation. The Tirthankaras have the name Arhan, which means venerable, because they are worshipped through the Jan Nagma Shakrokta. Similarly, since it is a religion taught by the Arhans, this religion is also known as Arhatamata. There are mainly 24 Tirthankaras, of which the last Tirthankara is Lord Vardhamana Mahavira Swami. He is also called Vardhamana Mahavira Jineshwara, and Parshvanath Swami is the 23rd Tirthankara. In the Tirthankara tradition, Jains believe and respect Rishabhadeva Swami as the Adi Tirthankara. The time of Lord Vardhamana Mahavira Swami is considered to be the 6th century AD. In Jainism, 2 types of origin are accepted, direct and indirect. In the indirect view, there are 5 divisions: Smriti, Pratyabhigyan, Taka, Anuma, and Agama. In the direct view, there are 2 types, which are called Samvyavarika Pratyaksha and Paramathika Pratyaksha. In Paramardhik Pratyaksha, there are 2 types, which are Sakal Pratyaksha and Vikal Pratyaksha. On the other hand, Jains accept only 3 principles, namely Pratyaksha, Anuma, and Shabda, and are called Tripraman Vedas. In Jainism, God is not accepted as the creator of the world and living beings. Similarly, Jainism does not accept the Vedas and Upanishads in their entirety. The body of scriptures, which includes the teachings taught by the Tirthankaras, is the basic scriptures of Jainism. These are divided into Anga, Upanga, Prakirna, Cheda Sutra, Muligrantha, and Swatantra Grantha, and among these, Anga is the most important scripture. The Angas are considered to be the Jan Vedas, and the main ones are 12. These 12 Angas are called Dwadashangas. All of them were originally composed in the Ardha Magadhi language. They are all known as Shruta because they were passed down to others after hearing the Dhamma teachings preached by the Tirthankaras. Jains accept the lives and teachings of the Tirthankaras as a standard, break the shackles of bondage, and say that 3 important factors are required for attaining salvation. 1. Faith in the life and messages of the Jan Tirthankaras. 2. Correct knowledge of Jan principles. 3. Correct and pure conduct. Tirthankaras are divine and magnificent holy great masters who incarnate at the right time and illuminate the light of Dharma and preach Dharma in the world, and therefore they are revered and godlike. Jainism believes that the teachings of Sri Vardhamana Mahavira Mahaswami, the last of the 24 Tirthankaras, are the most famous and important teachings of the present era. The philosophy and implementation of Jainism gives special importance to morality, ethics, and good conduct. Non-violence and kindness are the fundamental principles of Jainism. Jainism teaches a unique system of law called the Syadvad view regarding life, the world, etc. This Syadvad view is the basis for all the philosophical thoughts and practices of the Jains. Syadvad means the principle that every conclusion is relative. Syad means the argument that there may be. Therefore, it can be said in summary that Syadvad means the argument that there may be. For example, when concluding that there is a black pitcher in the room, one should say that there is a black pitcher in the room, adding, somehow. Because the presence of a picture in a room is only correct from the perspective of that situation, when the perspective and the situation are changed, the picture appears different. Similarly, the picture is not everywhere in the room as it is in that situation, circumstances. Therefore, what is correct from one perspective, may appear differently when the situation perspectives change. Therefore, the judgment we make about an object, fact, or situation is true only from that perspective for that situation. This argument is called Smadvad. It is a well-known fact that curd turns into milk and curd turns into curd. But both of these have curd and have acquired different states. If we do not say alternative desires like milk etc., we should simply say the thing itself is curd. Thus, the argument that speaks of differences in desires is Syadvad, and it can be said in short that great importance is given in this argument to the fact that whatever is infinite and whatever is the original is the same truth. According to Jainism, the world is eternal. Similarly, life is also eternal. There are countless lives. The cause of birth, death, happiness, and sorrow is karma, and karma is also eternal. But with the help of the tools of Samyak Darshan, right faith, Samyak Janana, right knowledge, right conduct, living beings can be freed from the bonds of karma. These tools are called Ratnatraya in Jain philosophy. Every object has infinite qualities. If objects are examined from the perspective of fixed and prohibitive qualities, it is realized that they are endowed with infinite qualities. The qualities of objects change as time passes. Therefore, since the existing object, the qualities change as time changes, it can be said that the object is endowed with infinite qualities. Thus, the object endowed with qualities is matter. The unchanging element in matter is called guna and the element that changes is called pathaya. Following this principle, although there are changes in the world, there are also elements that do not change. The world. From the perspective of alternation, it is impermanent, and from the perspective of qualities, it is eternal. It is. The nature of matter is eternal and has no beginning. Therefore, it is said in Jainism that the world is eternal. In the world, things are classified as astikaya and akaya in terms of single domain and multi-domain. In it, the temporal matter is in the atomic form and is not astikaya. The remaining 5 substances, namely life, matter, religion, non-religion, and space, are multi-domain. Therefore, they are called astikaya. Region means very subtle space. There are 2 parts in astikaya, which are life and non-life. There are 2 types of living beings, bound and free. There are 2 types of bound living beings, which are trisa, comprised of many senses, and sthavara, one-scented. That which is not alive is inanimate, it has no energy. According to Jainism, there are 9 principles in this world, of which 6 substances are included. Life, non-life, asrava, bandha, the 7 principles of samvara, nirjara, moksha, and the 2 principles of punya and papa, make up the 9 principles. These 9 principles are called Navapadarthas. Life, dharma, adharma, pula, akash, and kala are the 6 substances. These are called Shadravya. Dharma, adharma, pula, akash, and kala are the non-living things. Among all the non-living things, pula is the most important, and it is inanimate and immaterial. Purity is made up of the senses, taste, smell, and colors. The body, the senses, the things experienced through the senses, the mind, and karma, all these are personal. The place filled with life and other substances is called lokakasa. The place where the bare celestial matter is without it is also called the aloka akasha. The existence, change, etc., of things can be determined from time. Time is the root cause of the transformations of living and non-living things and helps in their transformation. There are 3 practical distinctions for time: past, present, and future. This distinction is only practical. Time is eternal and infinite. The uses of time are manifold and numerous. For example, a mango that was a fruit has become a fruit. To know that it will ripen, the help of time is necessary. Not only that, but it can only be done with the help of time. Thus, time helps in understanding the changes of living and worlds. Dharma and Adharma. Dharma and Adharma occupy a unique place in Jainism. Dharma means something that is generally said to be held. It is not a word that means moral strength, good conduct. Similarly, Adharma does not mean a word that means bad conduct, moral weakness. In Jainism, these words are used figuratively. The meaning of dharma is a power. Just as water helps humans move, so too is dharmadravya, the substance that helps the movement of living beings and bridges in the world. Earth is necessary for things to stand. Similarly, adharmadravya is the substance that helps the living beings and bridges to stop moving and stand in one place. Dharmadravya and adharmadravya are present in the world, not spread out in the world. The world is given space to live in the rest of the non-living beings. There are two paths in the sky, Loka and Alok. If there are Shadravya in the world, then there is only one boundless sky in the world. Karma. In Jainism, karma is considered to be of a physical nature and occupies an important place. Karma is called a particle or a karma pool, and it is said that in the world, these are filled with pure air, ether, and electrons, and they have no definite qualities. Although karma has no definite qualities, as soon as the karma particles enter the life, they acquire different qualities according to the effect of the life and produce results from it. Just as dust becomes bitter when mixed with poison, and sweet when mixed with jaggery, similarly, if the karma particles are attracted by auspicious results, they become virtuous, and if they are attracted by inauspicious results, they become sinful. Karma has no beginning. Similarly, the legacy of karmic bondage of life is also eternal. But it is said in Jain philosophy that there is an end to karmic bondage. Life is all free. He is both the doer and the enjoyer. The soul, which is pure by nature, has been associated with karma since time immemorial and is trapped in the shackles of karma and is struggling in samsara. Just as gold itself is pure, yet it has been associated with stone since time immemorial, so too is life associated with karma and is subject to the shackles of karma. This sequence of life is divided into four types: Deva, Narak, Manusya and Tiryak. Gold is pure and is associated with stone. Even so, it has not lost its purity. Even if gold is associated with stone, it is possible to separate gold from it. Gold once separated cannot be mixed with stone again. Although it is not possible to say when stone became associated with gold, it is possible to separate gold from stone. Thus, although the beginning of karma is unknown, and although it is eternal, it is possible to break its bondage and attain salvation. There are two types of karma, ghati and aghati. The karma that harms the infinite qualities inherent to the jiva, that is, that traps the jiva in the bondage of samsara and prevents it from attaining its natural state, is called ghati karma. Karmas that do not cause harm are aghati karma. Jainism explains the bondage and liberation of jiva karmas through the 7 principles and then directs the path to the liberation of the jiva. The 7 principles. The 7 principles are the chain of stages through which the jiva gets trapped in the shackles of karma and gets into the bondage of samsara and is released. They are 1. Jiva, 2. Ajiva, 3. Asrava, 4. Bandha, 5. Samvara, 6. Nirjara, 7. Moksha. The living being is the jiva, the inanimate being is the ajiva. In the relationship between living and non-living matter, the jiva attracts the particles of karma towards itself. Thus, the flow of karma, that is, karma flowing into the life, is called asrava. The flow of karma clinging to the life and binding it is called bandha. The life must experience the fruit of this bond until liberation. As the life continues to experience the fruit of karma, New fruits continue to join the life as a result. The act of preventing new karmas from coming through penance is called samvara. Although new karmas cannot come unjoined due to samvara, the fruits of the karmas that have already come and joined must be experienced. Even if a new karma flows in and fails to join the life, the karma that was already attached to the life will still be there. The fact that that karma is also digested is called nirjara. Karma gives its fruit and falls off the life on its own. This is the same as sivipaka nirjara, the act of ripening a mango before the karmas naturally decay and ripening it into fruit, and then enjoying it and thus decomposing the karma is called avipaka nirjara. Moksha is the complete loss of all the karmas of ghati and aghati and the liberation of the soul from the bondage of karma. Just as gold separated from stone does not join stone, similarly, the soul separated from the bondage of karma through samvara and nirjara does not join the karma again. This is the same as mukti, the 8 karmic bonds. In Jainism, it has already been mentioned that the soul is trapped in the 8 types of karmic bonds of ghati and aghati from time immemorial, and now let us consider the details of the 8 karmic bonds. The 8 types of karmic bonds are ghati karmic bonds. 1. Janana Varanya. 2. Darshan Varanya. 3. Mohaniya. 4. Antaraya. Agati karmic bonds. 5. Vedaniya. 6. Ayushya Karma. 7. Navu. 8. Gotra. 1. Janana Varanya. The karma that deprives the living being of infinite knowledge is Janana Varanya Karma. 2. Darshan Varanya. The karma that hides the infinite vision from the living being, that is, prevents the infinite vision from occurring, becomes Darshan Varanya Karma. It means that the karma that prevents the living being from benefiting from the sevenfold vision of form. 3. Mohaniya Karma. The karma that harms the truth of life and the qualities of character is Mohaniya Karma. Due to Mohaniya Karma, the living being gets attracted to the seductive things in the world, loses infinite happiness and becomes bound to samsara. 4. Antarai Karma. Karma that causes obstacles in charity, profit, enjoyment and virya, strength, is Antarai Karma. This hinders the life of the living being from engaging in good deeds. 5. Vedanyaka. Whatever causes happiness and sorrow to the living being is Vedanyaka. 6. Ayushya Karma. Ayu Karma, the karma that stops the living being in the bodies of Naraka, Tiryancha, Manushya and Deva and determines the lifespan of the living being is Ayu Karma. 7. Namaka. The karma that determines the personality traits of a living being, such as body, height, shape, color, etc., is Namakarma. The meaning is that whatever makes a living being take on different forms is Namakarma. 8. Gotra Karma. The karma that determines the caste, clan, gotra, etc., in which a living being is born is called Gotra Karma. Path to moksha. To escape from these 8 bondages of life and karma, Jainism has prescribed the sutras of Samyak Darshan, Samyak Janana, Samyak Charitriya. These are called Ratna Tri, or the 3 jewel-like paths that help in the attainment of moksha. Samyak Darshan. Samyak Darshan is to have a firm faith in the jinas and the principles that are the foundation of the jinas. Compassion for the living, devotion to the religion, peace, and control of the senses are all characteristics of Samyak Darshan. Right knowledge. Correct determination of objects is right knowledge. Right knowledge is the ability to clearly understand the ideas perceived through right vision and to understand the living and non-living things in their true form. Right character. Correct character is the external and internal practice that leads to samsara nivritti. Right character is the ability to understand the ideas seen through right vision through right knowledge and to act accordingly. 7 sutras are prescribed in Jain philosophy to help the living to follow the 3 gems in life properly and to obtain their fruits. They are 1. Mahavrata, non-violence, truth, non-violence, celibacy and abstinence. 2. Samiti, being extremely careful in one's actions, speech, accepting alms, cleaning up excrement, etc., and not causing any harm to others in any way. 3. Gupt, practicing utmost restraint in thought, speech, and bodily movements. 4. Observance of the 10 precepts, forgiveness, humility, external and internal restraint, renunciation, honesty, truthfulness, purity, self control. Non attachment, asangatva, celibacy are the 10 precepts. 5. Meditating on the main principles taught regarding life and the world. 6. Overcoming the discomforts experienced due to hunger, thirst, cold and heat, etc., through patience. 7. Attaining perfect purity of character, perfect detachment, purity in equanimity. Among these 7 sutras, the Panchavratas, Mahavrats, are the most important, and the Jains believe that the fruits of following these 7 sutras will come from their true observance. There are generally 2 social divisions among Jains: householders and monks. Among householders, men are called Shravakas and Upasakas, and women are Shraviks and Upasiks. Men who have taken the vow of renunciation are called Nigranthi, Sadhu, and Munis. Similarly, women are also called Nigranthi, Sanvi, and Arike. Sannyasins have to follow the rules very strictly, and their rules are very strict. The rules of householders are also quite strict and are easy only when compared to the rules of the sannyasis. The Supreme Lord worshipped by Jains is called Panchaparameshthi. In Jainism, the position of the Panchaparameshthi is very important and sacred. The Panchaparameshthi are the Ahat, Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu. One who bathes in the threefold confluence of the 3 gems of Samrugdarshan, Samyagja, and Samyakaritriya becomes free from the bonds of karma. There are extensive descriptions of Sadhu, Upadhyaya, Acharya, Siddha, and Ahat in the Jain scriptures, and we get special information on the subject that Tirthankaras are Siddha Parameshthi. It is stated in Jainism that a soul trapped in the bonds of karma can become free from karma and attain the highest degree of Siddha Parameshthi. Jainism, which does not accept God as the creator of the world, includes the worship of the holy Vinchaparameshthi who are free from the bonds of karma. According to Jain philosophy, which has prescribed the 3 precious means of breaking the bonds of karma through good conduct, good deeds, and good thoughts, a person who is freed from the bonds of karma is not only a jinn, winner, but also a hero, brave. The books Ahat Pravachana Sangraha, Varamagamasara, Dwadashanga Sutras, and Tatvardhadhigama Sutra are famous among the basic texts related to Jain philosophy. The mantra of salutation to the 5 supreme beings, which is believed to be the first auspicious among Jains, is extremely sacred and is commonly called the Gayatri of Jains. That sacred mantra is Namo Arantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Uvajjayanam, Namo Lo Sabba Sahunam, salutations to the Arants, salutations to the Siddhas, salutations to the Acharas, salutations to the Upadhyayas, salutations to all the saints in the world. Theistic Darshans, Vedic Darshans. 1. Nyaya Darshan. The pioneer of Nyaya Darshan was Maharishi Gautam. He also has another name, Akshapada. Hence, Nyaya Darshan is also known as Akshapada Darshan. Nyaya is the science of examining objects with standards. Nyaya Darshan examines every idea logically and gives explanations about life, the world, the soul, etc., based on reason. Since it is a science that is full of logic, it is also called Takashastra. Similarly, since it examines life, the world, the soul, etc., from a critical perspective, it is also known as Akshiki. Although Nyayadarshan is rational, it states that the ultimate goal of life is self-realization or salvation and proposes the path to salvation through logic and reasoning. The pillars of Nyayadarshan are 4 principles and 16 considerations. Overall, the principles advocated in Nyayadarshan can be divided into 4 main categories. 1. Principles of knowledge. 2. Principles of the world. 3. Principles of the soul and the salvation of the soul. 4. Principles of God. Nyayadarshan has adopted 4 principles. They are 1. Pratyaksha Pramana, 2. Anuman Pramana, 3. Shabda Pramana. 4. Upamana Pramana. Nyayadarshan says that the soul is immortal and is different from the body. What is this body? What is the soul? How can the body attain self-realization? Before that, the existence of the soul and body is clarified through 4 precepts, and then the path of thought for self-realization and self-knowledge is explained. The 16 elements that help in thought are described in Nyayadarshan as follows. 1. Precept. 2. Premise. 3. Doubt. 4. Benefit. 5. Illustration. 6. Doctrine. 7. Organ. 8. Logic. 9. Conclusion. 1. Argument. 11. Inference. 12. Inference. 13. Hetvabhasa. 14. Delusion. 15. Caste. 16. Nigrasthana. 1. Precept. This is the first step that helps in correct understanding, and there are 4 subdivisions in it. 1. Pratyaksha. 2. Anuman. 3. Shabda. 4. Upamana. 2. Premise. Whatever is the subject of self-knowledge is the premise. In Nyayadarshan, there are 12 subjects of premise, which are 1. The soul. 2. The body. 3. The senses. 4. The objects of the senses, smell, taste, color, touch and sound. 5. The intellect. 6. The mind. 7. Instinct. 8. Defect. 9. Ghostly feeling. 1. Fruit. 11. Sorrow. 12. The unattainable, salvation. 3. Doubt. Doubt arising in the mind regarding the soul, the matter of values, etc., is called doubt. When doubt arises, proper investigation begins. The search for truth then begins. 4. Benefit. What is the goal of life? What is the benefit of examining the soul? 5. Illustration. Illustrations are necessary to remove doubt and explain the benefit. An example reveals general rules. The next step of an example is theory. 6. Theory. A theory is what confirms an example and shows its truth. 7. Element. When a theory is clear, objections come to give it a gold leaf and make it unassailable, that is, the theories of the opposing parties come. Facing these objections fairly is said to be an element. 8. Logic. Logic can be said to be a hypothesis. Logic is a series of arguments used to justify one's position in an argument to face opposition. 9. Conclusion. A conclusion is the understanding of a certain conclusion about facts and ideas. A conclusion is made through logic. 10. Argument. Those who make an argument and those who make a counter-argument. Argument is an attempt to clarify their respective opinions logically and reach the truth. Argument can be said to be a discussion. A discussion among teachers and students can be said to be a good example of an argument. 11. Jalpa. This argument of argument, counter-argument and condemnation is called jalpa. Overall, it can be said that it is a matter that the plaintiff does for the victory of the argument. 12. Vitanda. Vitanda is condemning the parties of others without having any side. 13. Hetvabhasa. Hetvabhasa is called Hetvabhasa for Hetu doshas. Hetu means reason, and what appears to be a reason is called Hetvabhasa. 14. Chala. Arguing that the sentences used in the argument have a misunderstanding is chala. Example: the plaintiff says Navakambala in the sense of 9 blankets. Then the defendant says Nava means new and interprets the word as a new blanket. This is chala. 15. Jati. The false answer given on the basis of a wrong example is called jati. 16. Nigrahasthana. The state of being defeated in an argument is Nigrahasthana. Nigrahasthana is the state of being defeated in an argument by making it clear that the arguments of the opposing parties are baseless and ending the arguments and counter-arguments. Nyayadarshan states that if the aspirant passes through these 16 stages correctly, he will attain true knowledge and attain salvation. Nyayadarshan Sangraha. Nyayadarshan mentions the 9 elements. They are time, direction, intellect, soul, earth, fire, air, water and space. The world was created by the combination of atoms. The world was formed from the 9 elements and atoms. God is the root cause of all this. He is the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is omniscient and eternally omniscient. God creates, protects and destroys the world according to the previous karma of the living beings. Living beings. They are innumerable and are subject to the bondage of samsara according to their previous karma. In the bondage of samsara, the soul experiences suffering such as attachment and hatred. The path to this suffering is to gain knowledge of the 16 things explained earlier. After gaining knowledge, one can attain liberation from sufferings. When knowledge removes ignorance, the soul is liberated from sufferings such as attachment and hatred and is free from karma. When one is free from karma, one is free from birth and sufferings. Thus, the complete liberation of the soul from birth, death and suffering is called apavarga in Nyayadarshan. Thus, Nyayadarshan logically justifies these ideas of God and the soul in a reasonable manner. The original text on Nyayadarshan is the famous Nyaya Sutra, written by Maharishi Gautam. Vatsyayana wrote a commentary on the Nyaya Sutra of Maharishi Gautam, which is a very detailed and famous commentary on Nyaya Sutra. The time of Maharishi Gautam was around 1000 BC, the 4th century, and the time of Vatsyayana, the commentator of his sutras, is considered to be around the 5th century AD. Vartikas and explanatory works on Nyayadarshan were composed in large numbers by various authors as time passed. Among them, Udyotars, Vartika, Udainas, Tatparyaparishuddhi, Jaintas, Nyayamanjari, Bhasaranjanas, Nyasara, and Gangesas, Tatvachintamani, are important. 3. Vaishesayaka Darshan. The original teachers of Vaishesayaka Darshan were the great sages of Kannada. Vaishesayaka is derived from the word Vishesayaka. In Vaishesayaka Darshan, specialness is given great importance. This darshan is mainly based on the topics of atoms, soul and sky. Vaishesayaka darshan asserts that there are innumerable atoms and souls and each of them has its own uniqueness. This assertion of uniqueness has given this darshan the name, Vaishesayaka. Kannada Maharishi also has another name Uluka Maharishi. Similarly, 2 other names Kannada darshan and Olukya darshan are also in use for Vaishesayaka darshan. Vaishesayaka darshan gives more importance to the knowledge of the idea of things, that is, it gives more importance to the premise. Nyaya darshan gives a special place to the knowledge of the subject matter, that is, to the quantity. Therefore, Nyaya and Vaishesayaka darshans are very much related to each other. There is basically only a slight difference in the principles of these 2 darshans, most of which are the same, and the goal is also the salvation of the soul, therefore they are considered to be similar techniques together. Vaishesayaka darshan examines the fundamental ideas of the creation, existence, dissolution, etc., of the world and says that everything is a transformation of atoms. Therefore, this view is called the atomistic view. In Vaishesayaka darshan, only 2 principles, namely, Pratyaksha and Ananuma, are accepted, and all the other principles are inherent in these 2. Vaishesayaka darshan examines the things seen in the world and divides them into groups and gives a detailed explanation in Vaishesayaka darshan. Thus, 7 divisions are made, and Vaishesayaka darshan is limited to the expansion of these 7 ideas. The 7 divisions are 1. Dravya, 2. Guna, 3. Karma, 4. General, 5. Special, 6. Samavaya, 7. Abhava. Padartha means the thing that is subject to thought and name, and Vaishesayaka darshan says that salvation is attained by the correct understanding of these things. The Vaishesayaka darshan explains in detail that there are 9 types of substances in the world, just as there are 7 groups of visible substances and ideas. What are those 9 substances? Earth, water, fire, air, sky, time, country, soul, mind. The first 5 of these substances are called the Panchabhutas, and the qualities of smell, taste, form, touch, and sound are prominent in them. Of these, earth, water, fire, and air are composed of atoms, and the atoms are infinite and inanimate. The soul is omnipresent and immortal. After dividing the substances in this way, the nature and powers of these substances are described in detail. Then, the Vaishesayaka Darshan explains the soul and the powers inherent in it. Similarly, the body and its parts are examined and explained, saying that the birth of the body is due to karma. Similarly, the idea of knowledge, specific knowledge, salvation, etc., are explained in detail in Vaishesayaka Darshan. Thus, the subject matter is explained in Vaishesayaka Darshan in 4 stages: division of substances, description, examination, and demonstration. Fate. There is no specific and detailed explanation of the idea of God in Vaishesayaka Darshan. However, Vaishesayaka Darshan agrees that a force called fate is the cause of all the things, such as the creation of the world, the birth and death of living beings, etc. Fate is the karmic force and is the activity of the union of atoms and souls. Thus, the origin of the world and living beings is explained by saying that fate is the co-cause of the world and the atom is the physical cause. A force is needed that is responsible for the movement of atoms, and that force is called the invisible, fate. Fate is also called the will of God. This invisible force, i.e., God, is the cause of all the creation, condition and dissolution of the world, which is clarified by a detailed explanation of the union and separation of atoms. Living beings and atoms are innumerable. Every living being is born in this world according to his own karma. By gaining correct understanding of the things of this world, ignorance is removed and knowledge is attained. To attain this knowledge, one should lead a good and virtuous life. Then, having gained correct knowledge of things, the living being is free from the sorrow of birth and death. Thus, Vaishesayaka Darshan gives a detailed explanation of the world, soul, fate, life, and shows the path to salvation of living beings in its own way. The book that is the basis of Vaishesayaka Darshan is Maharishi Kannada's Vaishesayaka Sutra. This book is believed to have been composed in the late 3rd century BC. Prashastapada's, Padarthadharma Sangraha, and Shivaditya Mishra's, Saptipadarthi, are famous books of Vaishesayaka Darshan. 3. Samkhya Darshan. The pioneer of this darshan was Maharishi Kapila. The word Sakhya is derived from the word Sankhya. Sankhya means counting, inquiry, and discussion in 3 ways. This view is called Sankhya because it divides the sources of ideas such as the world, life, etc., into numbers and uses them as a basis to explain the salvation of life. Another opinion is that it was named Sankhya-darshan because it is a view that gives correct understanding. Sankhya equals knowledge. While there are many divisions and explanations of things related to the world in Nyaya and Vaishesayaka Darshans, there is a proposition of only 2 types of fundamental principles, namely Prakriti and Purusha, in Sankhya Darshan. The world, life, senses, and body are all due to the union of Prakriti and Purusha. Therefore, Sankhya Darshan says that this world, birth, etc., are all in effect and there must be a cause for this. This cause is Prakriti, and it is said in Sankhya Darshan that life, the world, birth, etc., are all under the control of Prakriti and are limited in their power and influence. Nature. Inanimate nature is the basic principle of the world. There are 3 qualities inherent in nature. These are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Like a rope made of 3 strings, these belong to nature, and nature composed of these exists in its normal state. Sattva Guna. This quality is composed of happiness, joy, and luminous abilities. Rajas Guna. It is the quality of movement. It is also composed of sorrow and pain. This quality helps in the movement and existence of the qualities of truth and darkness. Tamas Guna. It is composed of laziness, indifference, uneasiness, sleep, etc., and as a result it is a quality that gives laziness, ignorance, and darkness. Purusha. It is composed of energy and is in the form of consciousness. Purusha is called the soul of the world, the soul. Purusha is separate from the body and senses and is the power of consciousness. This consciousness has names like Chetana, Purusha, Chichikti, Atma, etc., and all of them have the same meaning. Purusha has no qualities, defects or special features. He is an incorporeal substance. Creation of the world. This world and its unique living things have been produced by the union of inert nature and conscious men. There are a total of 2 principles in the world. All these are covered by Prakriti itself and are endowed with Purusha power. Mahat or intellect is produced by the union of Prakriti Purusha, and from it ego is born. From ego the mind, the 5 organs of action, mouth, hands, feet, anus and sexual sense, the 5 organs of knowledge, eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, the 5 elements, form, taste, smell, touch and sound, the 5 great elements, earth, water, brilliance, air, sky, were born. Samkhya Darshan says that these 25 principles are the basis of the world, life, and birth. Path to salvation. The correct understanding of these resultant life worlds that arise from the union of nature and man is the path to salvation. As an aid to this understanding, Samkhya accepts only 3 standards. They are 1. Direct, 2. Inference, 3. Sound. There are pleasures and pains in life, and pains are divided into 3 categories in Samkhya Darshan. These are called Tapatraya. Tapatraya: 1. Spiritual pain, 2. Metaphysical, 3. Supra-divine. Spiritual pain. Physical and mental pains are spiritual pain, which also include fever, headache, mental worry, anger, etc. Metaphysical. Sufferings caused by other humans, animals, thorns, stones, etc. are called metaphysical suffering, for example, murder, snake bite, pricking by thorns, etc. Metaphysical. Sufferings caused by supernatural forces such as ghosts, spirits, etc. are called metaphysical suffering. Freedom from these 3 types of suffering is what Samkhya philosophy calls moksha or liberation. Samkhya, which says that ignorance is the cause of suffering, says that one should become wise by knowing the self and the non-self through wisdom. It is said in Samkhya Darshan that continuous practice and effort are necessary to develop this wisdom and acquire wisdom. Liberation. There are 2 types of liberation: liberation from the body and liberation from the body. Liberation from the body, which is the liberation of the soul, i.e., liberation from suffering and troubles, while the soul is still in this body. Just as a dancer dances to entertain the audience and then stands still, even though she is a dancer, she stands still. Similarly, the state of the soul, even though she is free, in the body is liberation from the body. Liberation from the body is the state of the soul, man, being free from all the bonds of the body after the death of the body or the end of the body. This can be compared to the state of the dancer taking off her dance costume and being in her own form. Thus, liberation from the 3 causes of suffering is explained in detail in Samkhya Darshan. In the Samkhya Darshan, which states that nature and man are the supreme principle, there is no mention of God. The Samkhya Darshan, which states that all living things were created by the union of nature and man, does not definitely say what led to the union of nature and man. As a subsequent step of the Samkhya Darshan, the Yoga Darshan has the answer to this, and the idea of God is explained in it. Maharishi Kapila's Sankhya Sutras and Ishwarakrishna's Sankhyakarika, Gaudapada's Sankhyakarika Bhashya, and the Sankhya Pravachana Bhashya of the Vijnanabhikshas are famous and important among the many texts of the Sankhya Darshan. 4. Yoga Darshan. Nyaya, Vaiseshika and Sankhya Darshan give explanations about the world, life, life's happiness, sorrow, creation, state, and dissolution. They say that liberation from the cycle of samsara is achieved only after attaining salvation. Yoga Darshan has shown the most pure, scientific and practical path to that salvation. As mentioned earlier, the existence of God is not accepted in Sankhya Darshan. But in Yoga Darshan, God is called Ishvara and the existence of Ishvara is fully accepted and confirmed. Therefore, it would not be wrong to say that Yoga Darshan is the next practical step of Sankhya Darshan. Yoga Darshan says that the practice of yoga is the pure path for the attainment of wisdom and knowledge mentioned in Sankhya. This darshan gives steps of practice that are conducive to the achievement of self-realization and gives priority to implementation rather than principle. The Sankhya principles in the world, life, and these issues are largely accepted in Yoga Darshan, and there is a great relationship and harmony between Sankhya and Yoga Darshan. In Yoga Darshan, like Sankhya, three standards of manifestation, doubt and sound are accepted. The word yoga is derived from the element yuj. Yuj means to join. Yoga is the joining of the soul with the Supreme Soul. The pioneer of this vision is the sage Patanjali. What is yoga? The answer to this question is given in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Yoga Citta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of all mental tendencies, i.e., mental tendencies. Vritti is the thought process of the mind. Vritti is the wave in the mental lake. Every vritti creates sanskaras, and from sanskaras, it creates the character and actions of the person. It is said in Yoga Darshan that there are generally 5 types of vritti in the human mind. They are 1. Kshipta, the state of being thrown between things. 2. Mudha, the state of being asleep is the state of being in a stupor. 3. Vikshipta, the state of being dominated by sattva, where the mind is swaying between the subject and meditation. 4. Ekagra, the state of being concentrated on some object. 5. Niruddha, the state that is out of the above 4 states. That is, the state in which the mind is under complete control. When the living entity reaches this state, he gets the experience of samadhi. When samadhi is attained, the bondage of karmas is broken and salvation is attained. This birth of life Yoga Darshan states that there are 5 basic causes for the entrapment of the karmic cycle of death, and these are described as the 5 elements, dukkhas, in the Panchakshesha. The 5 elements: 1. Ignorance, lack of proper knowledge about the self and the self. 2. Asmita, ego, meaning the feeling of I. 3. Raga, interest in things in the world, desires. 4. Vidis, the struggle that leads to nirvana, the evil mind that arises when one's ragas are not fulfilled, hatred for others. 5. Abhinivesha, fear of death, the desire to live. When the human mind passes through the 5 stages described above and reaches the pure and perfect state of samadhi and is free from the bondage of the 5 elements, the living entity attains liberation. Yoga Darshan states that to attain the state of samadhi, which is the means for attaining liberation, one should do the right sadhana in the form of yoga practice. That yoga practice the path is the 8 limbs, and by following them properly, one can surely attain enlightenment, as confirmed in Yoga Darshan. The Ashtanga Marga of Yoga. The Ashtanga Marga means the path consisting of 8 limbs. 8 limbs. The 8 steps of yoga practice are 1. Yama, 2. Niyama, 3. Asana, 4. Pranayama, 5. Pratyahara, 6. Dharana, 7. Dhyan, 8. Samadhi. Yoga Darshan says that the aspirant needs the grace of God as much as his own effort to successfully pass through these 8 limbs of the path of yoga and reach the goal of liberation. Calling God as Ishvara, it is made clear in this darshan that Ishvara is more necessary and experiential in terms of practice than in terms of theory. Regarding Ishvara, it is said, Koshakarma vipakasayara paramrishtaha purusha vishaha Ishvara, it is said in Yoga Darshan. That is, the one who is not satisfied with the Keshadas is God. He is full of the qualities of Mahadeshwar and is God. He is omniscient and eternal, and is one and second to none. Omkara is said to be the embodiment of speech, Tasya Vachaka Pranava, which is the form of God. Yoga Darshan also has another name called Raja Yoga. More details about the Ashtanga Marga, which is the tool of this Yoga Darshan, and other matters will be presented in the chapter 4 Yogas of Hinduism, of this book. The work called Yoga Sutras written by Maharishi Patanjali is the basis of this darshan. The Vyasa Bhaspa, the commentary book, Tattva Vasharadhi, by Vachaspati, and the commentary book, Rajamartanda, by Bhojarya written on these sutras are very famous and important books. 5. Mimsa Darshan, Purvamimamsa, the pioneer of Mamamsa Darshan is Jamini Maharishi. There came a time when a kind of atheistic feeling arose among theists, believing that there was no need for the rituals of the Vedas, and that the help of the Vedas was not necessary for self-realization. At that time, Mamamsa Darshan was the darshan that arose as if it had arisen in defense of the rituals of the Vedas. The view that emerged to teach true knowledge about Brahman and Dharma by using the Vedas as the basis of evidence can be called Mimsa Darshan. Mimsa means to think with evidence. There is another view that it is also understood as the meaning of the Vedas thought science. The Vedas are infallible. The understanding of man is mixed with error, and the Vedas, which are infallible, are flawless. Therefore, the authority for determining right and wrong is the Vedas, which are the evidence themselves. The Mimsakas say that liberation is achieved only by following the Vedic actions that are in accordance with the Vedas. The Ramanasikas not only accepted the Upamana along with the Pratyaksha, Amana, and Shabda evidences, but also added the new evidences of Arthapatti and Anupalabi. The Vedas are the correct basis in all respects, and the Vedas are everything. It is only through its correct knowledge that understanding of Dharma arises. Dharma means the actions that a human being should perform for happiness and peace in this world and the next, for the attainment of salvation. It is made clear in the Viramansa Darshan that the attainment of happiness is achieved through the practice of Dharma. In the Mimsa Darshan, the practice of Vedokta karmas is called Dharma. Everyone should perform Vedokta karmas. There are 4 types of them. 1. Nitya karma, evening worship and fire offerings. 2. Nimitika karma, karmas performed at specific times in accordance with the vows. For example, taking bath and chanting during the eclipse period, taking bath at Sankranti, etc. 3. Kamra karma, karmas performed with the desire for a special result, such as worship, fasting, etc. 4. Nishiddha karma, those that are prohibited, that is, those that are said not to be done in the scriptures. The Vimamsakas do not agree that there is a God who gives the fruits of the Vedas. Everything happens because of Apurva. Apurva means the necessary relationship between karma and its fruits. It is an unmanifest power, which is created in the soul of the doer due to karma and helps in the realization of the fruit of karma, i.e., salvation. According to Mimsa, the world is real. Moksha means the destruction of the soul's connection with the world, and for this to happen, one must attain heaven. Mimsa clearly states that attaining heaven is the highest goal of life and the way to attain it is through the practice of Vedas. The Mimsa believes that the reason why a person gets trapped in the bonds of karma is because of doing forbidden karma and acting against dharma. Similarly, there are innumerable lives. They say that the world is controlled by karma. The Mimsakas have said that there are souls in this world who are fortunate enough to experience the fruits of their previous lives, the means of enjoyment called the senses, which are the means for experiencing them, and the means of enjoyment called the objects of enjoyment called the objects of experience called happiness and sorrow. As time passed, doubts and imperfections were found about the ideas expressed by the Mimsa writers, and 2 sects arose within them. They are 1. Kumarila Bhatta Pranita Bhatta sect, 2. Prabhakara Pranita Prabhakara sect. According to Kumarila Bhatta, the Vedas are the supreme authority, and the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas are the ones that fulfill the human desire for happiness and avoidance of suffering. The Vedas say that by doing such deeds, humans can reach the goal of success. Therefore, it is said that the desire and knowledge of the means motivates a human to perform Vedic deeds. The Vedas themselves are the ones that have the ability to determine what is Dharma. Dharma is the means to happiness. Moksha is the state of bliss that is free from all sorrows and pains. Moksha can be obtained through karma and knowledge. Although the Viramansakaras do not agree with God, Kumarilabhatta agrees, and in his Shlokavatika treatise it is seen that he prays to Shiva for the attainment of blessings. Therefore, he is called Sheshwaramansakara. According to the Prabhakaran, the Vedas have rules and regulations regarding karma in a way that dominates man. Man's ability to perform Vedic actions is based on his knowledge of duty, respect for the Vedas, and belief in the supremacy of the Vedas. Dharma is the goal of effort. Moksha is the natural state of the soul, free from all pleasures and pains. Both these sects accept the Vedas as the supreme standard, among whom the Kumarilabhatta sect is the most famous. Mamansa has analyzed the ritual requirements of Vedic actions for the meaning of the Vedas not only from a literary perspective but also from a spiritual perspective. This has greatly helped rationalists in understanding the meaning of the Vedas and coming to a conclusion about their place and value in life. Just as grammar is necessary for the development, meaning and beauty of language, so is the understanding of the meaning of the Vedas, the meaning of a certain spiritual principle. The Mamansa Shastra has been very helpful to all Hindu philosophers and is always new and useful. It is a memorable fact that Mimsa, the Shastra, which established the standard and upheld the greatness of the Vedas, has laid a solid foundation for the prosperity and security of Hinduism. Thus, one should attain salvation by performing Vedokta karmas. In the Mimsa Darshan, which said that the Vedas are everything and the support of all, there is no correct answer to the questions of God, the awakening of the soul, etc. The later Mamansa found that the explanation given by Mamansa to the question of what is the correct basis of the creation, condition, dissolution, soul, birth and death of the world was not adequate. Devadi Uttaramimsa. He presented the correct view. That is Uttaramimsa or Vedanta Darshan. The Mamansa Sutras written by Maharishi Jamini are the basis of this view. Sabaraswami's commentary on the Mamansa Sutras is a very famous book. The commentaries written by him called Shlokavatika, Tantravatika, Tistika are the basis for the Kumarilabhatta sect. Prabhakara's sect is based on Prabhakara's Brihatipashya Granth and Shalikanta's Saksapanchika Granths. 6. Vedanta Darshan, Uttaramimsa. Uttaramimsa is the view that emerged when it was realized that the correct answer to all the problems of life could not be found from the theories of Purvamimsa Darshan. Uttara means after. That is, it is the view that emerged after Purva equals previous Mimsa, hence the name Uttaramimsa. Uttaramimana has another famous name, Vedanta. Vedanta means the end of the Vedas. That is, Veda equals knowledge, means the end of knowledge. The end of knowledge means the ultimate destination, the highest goal of the pursuit of knowledge. While the earlier Viranana upholds the Karma Kandas of the Vedas, the later Vedanta considers the Upanishad part of the Vedas, i.e. the Janana Kanda, as important. Just as the last part of the Vedas is the Upanishads. Vedanta is a philosophy on the doctrines stated in the Upanishads. The pioneer of Vedanta philosophy is Maharishi Badarayana, Shri Veda Vyasa. He consolidated the principles stated in the Vedas, conducted appropriate examination and research through inner meditation, and, as mentioned earlier, compiled them into the correct formulas and composed a book of sutras called Brahma Sutras. These sutras are also called Vedanta Sutras. Although the Vedanta Sutras are the basis of Uttaraviramansha Darshan, Vedanta is also a darshan based on two other books belonging to the Prasthanatraya group, namely the Upanishadu and the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The main ideas that come up in Vedanta Darshan are Brahma, Vikaya, Jiva, the world, Sansarabandhana and Moksha. The divine power behind the life of the world is Brahma. Due to ignorance and ignorance, living beings get trapped in the cycle of birth and death in the world. Attaining self-realization through the knowledge of the self is the ultimate goal of life. The Vedanta philosophy, which states that when the self is realized, the experience of Satchidananda becomes the experience of bliss and the bondage of existence disappears, has directed the appropriate guidance and methods to achieve self-realization and to lead a successful life in the world. Among the followers of the Vedanta philosophy, there was a difference of opinion regarding the relationship between Brahma Jiva Jagat to moksha, as well as the existence and forms of each. Over time, different teachers proposed the theories and explanations of the relationship between the Supreme Being Soul World Moksha mentioned in the Prasthanatraya texts in different ways and came to different conclusions. The vision they saw about the truth was called a sect. To propose their own views, the teachers of each sect wrote commentaries and explanations on the Prasthanatraya texts and clarified their views. Thus, three main sects emerged from the Vedanta philosophy: Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Dvaita. Similarly, many more sects emerged later, such as Bheda Bheda, Shuddhadvaita, Achintya Bheda Bheda. The wise are of the opinion that in the Shuddharshans, the search for truth begins with Nyaya Darshan and ends with Vedanta Darshan, concluding it in a correct and adequate manner. Vedanta Darshan is very famous among the philosophical philosophies of India. This Vedanta Darshan is the basis for many internal conflicts in Hindu society, and those sects are formed on the basic principles of this darshan.